Here at Be Freaking Awesome, we believe that life is too short to be anything less than extraordinary. Join us as we explore what it means to live authentically, grow continuously, and have a blast while doing it. Let's get started. Welcome, everyone, to today's episode of Be Freaking Awesome. I'm one of your hosts, Sami, here with Angela Belford, and today we are joined by Therese Gopaul-Robinson, and we are going to be talking all about confidence. Lack of confidence, how confidence can really, make or break your business sometimes, all of these things. It's going to be a great conversation. But before we jump into that, Therese, why don't you take a moment and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about who you are and where you are and what you do.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. Happy Friday. So again, my name is Therese, and who am I? Well, I like to refer to myself as a recovering bad leader. And yeah, that's my superpower. But I currently am a professional speaker, and I'm a consultant in the leadership space and in the healthcare leadership space. And I focus solely on how confidence impacts how we lead.
I think that is like a meaty topic. Like that's
Oh yeah.
Not just like it's just casual, just this one thing. It's like really big deal.
Oh yeah, it totally is. In fact, I don't want to, I'll share this one piece. In fact, 78%, now this is wild, and this was as of 2024, 78% of leaders in Fortune 500 companies were identified as having low confidence in their ability to lead. And so what we've seen is that across every industry, it has created this kind of a domino effect, because if a leader lacks confidence, it impacts every single thing and every single person around them. So yeah, it is a meaty topic, and it's one that I really wish people would talk about a lot more.
One of the things, Therese, when you and I visited before the podcast that I just hadn't really thought about is that you say that so often we think of confidence as a personal problem.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that impacts my life because I don't like how I feel because I don't feel confident. So it feels like this real squishy, non-businessy kind of thing. But
Right.
what you're hypothesizing is that it has dramatic implications in the business world, and quite frankly, as you and I talked, and as I've thought about this more over the last 2 weeks since we chatted,
Yeah.
it probably impacts our business and career more than any other area of our life. Would
You're
you
right.
would you
Yes.
agree? And
Yeah.
unpack that.
Yeah, and it's not just a theory. There's a ton of research around this. There is a ton, and that is what's so wild to me, is that there's so much research around how confidence impacts us as leaders, how it impacts us personally, and really every aspect of our life. So there's a ton of research around it, and you're right. There continues to be this perception that it is a personal problem. It is my problem to figure out, and I can just kind of keep it inside. I can show up, I can give my best, I can do my best, and then kind of figure it out on my own. And that's just it's not the truth. And here's an example. Have you ever worked with a leader who, we've all worked with this leader, I think, at one point or another? Everyone's like, oh, he or she's such a micromanager. Have we? Yeah, you're chuckling. Yes. Okay, that's one symptom. That's one symptom of low confidence. You see, people micromanage not because they don't think you have the ability to do the task. They micromanage because they don't believe in their ability to teach, train, and lead you. So therefore, they must have their fingers and hands on everything to make sure that it goes okay. So micromanagement is not about you, the person who's being led. It's about that leader's fear that they did not give you the tools and resources to be independent and successful on your own. So that's just one symptom.
Well, and I dug into the Gallup workforce study the past couple of years each time they release that. And over and over again, people leave their jobs because of managers, because of their bosses. It's the number one reason.
Number one.
I think maybe sometimes there's like a little one that hairs it out, but consistently it comes back to bad leadership is why people leave their jobs. So then
Right.
that symptom, micromanaging, not trusting your team, doing those the way that you show up to work as a manager
Hmm.
does like that leads to people leaving, which leads to worse businesses, which leads to more turnover, absenteeism, all sorts of things. It's
Everything,
crazy.
culture, productivity, quality of work, everything. It impacts everything. And listen, I could talk about this all day, every day, right? Because even when you look at specific groups, even and how confidence impacts how they lead, it's just crazy that what you find. And so here's another example. So we've talked about micromanagers. Have we ever worked with a leader who we felt was out of touch, disconnected, kind of that person, right?
Yep.
Yes. So that's another sign. And the reason why a leader is kind of walking the halls and kind of has this kind of air about them that they're not very, connected to the team, or they don't really care, they're a little bit apathetic. Again, that's another symptom of lacking confidence, because they are nervous about saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, making the wrong decisions. And so as a result, they don't really commit to anything or anyone.
Mhm.
And so we're like, wow, Therese is just so, she doesn't get it. She's so disconnected. She's a little intimidating, all of those things. Another one that we see a lot is, and this is specifically amongst female leaders, and that is, how many times have you heard a female leader say something like this? I'm so overwhelmed. I'm responsible for everything. I take on the most in the department. I have all these different projects, all these moving parts. How many times have we heard female leaders say that?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah, a lot.
And oftentimes that is because we're doing too much, right? And we are doing too much because, again, when we look at research, and research backs this up, generally speaking, a lot of women, most women, unfortunately, we connect our value to what we do. So the more I do, the more valuable I am, the more I belong, the more I can show that I can contribute something. So I do so much just to kind of continue to show that, hey, I belong here. I should be here. I'm not an imposter. I should have a seat at this table. But when we're doing that, we're messaging certain things. We're sending certain messages to our leaders. We're telling our leaders that, hey, I don't have enough to do. That's why I'm always saying yes and doing the most. We're telling our colleagues, hey, Sammy, I don't trust that you can do it. So I'm going to just check your work, or, you know what, just give it to me. I'll take care of it. And what we're telling our teams is, I'm inflexible and I have unrealistic expectations. And all of that, when you kind of unpack all of that, you get down to the root of it. You got to get to the root. You got to dig out the root. It's all lack of confidence.
Okay, we gotta stop because you got so much to unpack there.
Yes,
Hang on,
I'm
girl.
telling you. I'm telling
Wait a
you.
minute. So you're telling me that when
Yes.
I, as a consultant, go into a business and I'm working with a business owner about having work life balance, and I talk to
Hmm.
them about delegating some of the
Hmm.
work that is to be doing, you're saying that them pushing back on that delegation, I've thought of it as a control freakness, like, oh, they have to
Hmm.
be in control. I've not actually thought that is a lack of confidence.
It is. It is. Because if I am not confident in the fact that I have given you the tools, I have trained you, you know where to go to get your resources, and I am just afraid of giving that up, then of course I'm going to want to have control, because I feel like number one, I want to make sure things are getting done correctly, because I don't feel like I necessarily gave you everything you need to be successful. But the other thing is, I want to continue to show my value. I
Mm.
have to continue to show my value, because if I manage Angela up and I train her up and she is a rock star and she is just shining, somehow I think that because Angela is a rock star and she's shining, it dims my light in some way. So, how do I continue to show my value if I'm showing Angela all these things and she's doing it fantastic? I'm going to tell you a quick story. So, I had a friend, and she was, she volunteered on some board, and she also had like this big like day job, and she hated the volunteer position, and she was in it for like 5 years. And every time I met with her, she's like, I need to let this go. And so finally, all of the girlfriends were like, girl, just let this go. Like, why are you on this? And her response was this: if I let that board position go, what if someone else comes in and does it better than me?
Yikes.
Ow.
And that
Oh,
hurts. Like, I guess I get goosebumps every time I think about
yes.
that. And so for her, she connected so much of her value to this thing that was
Wow.
causing her so much misery, because she was afraid that some magical person somewhere out there was going to come in and potentially do it better. And so that conversation led to the biggest question, which was, why? Why do you care? So what if they do it better? What does that have to do with you? How is that a reflection on you if they do that
Mm.
position better? So there's a lot to unpack when we talk about confidence and leadership, confidence on teams, and how we interact with each other. Again, I could talk about this all day.
One of the things that's interesting that's coming up for me, you talk about a leader worried that they have not equipped people, worried that they haven't given them the right tools. Not to like pause and toot my own horn, but I'm
Hmm.
thinking about there's a team member who I manage. Shout out Rayleigh who edits the podcast. And
Hey, Riley.
she there are a number of times where I will be like, "Okay, here's the project and I know that I have not given you enough information and I what I need you to do is to go figure out what your roadblocks are so then you can come back and we can talk about what do I need to teach you along the
Hmm.
way."
Hmm.
And like, I love that she knows how to do things better than me because that means I don't have to do it. Like,
That's right.
I'm so delighted that I don't have to do so many of the amazing things that Rayleigh does. And I like it's never occurred to me that it makes me a bad manager by giving her tasks that she doesn't know how to do, particularly because I will caveat so many things to be like, you probably won't know how to do this and we will probably have to like sit down together and figure out how to cross that bridge, and I'll be like, oh crap, yep, that was an obvious thing that I should have told you that I didn't even think to tell you. Thanks for your patience and working with me. It's just
But
mind-boggling that somebody doesn't want to teach people those
most people
things.
don't want to do that, because again, so then if I teach you, then what am I, what about me? Like, what are they going to want me to
Yes,
do? And what you've
yes.
just demonstrated there, though, Sammy, is one of the first steps, and the things that I teach leaders is you've got to start delegating, and in order to build confidence in your team members, you have to give them what we call stretch assignments,
Mhm.
right? Things that they're not 100% ready to tackle, but by doing that, what you're telling them is, I know you can do it. I know you will do it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be here as the buffer. I'm going to be the person that you can come to. I'm the guardrails, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that you won't fail. But I trust you, and I know that you have the ability to accomplish it. So that's one of the things that I work with leaders on, is to show them how to delegate, but delegate stretch assignments. Don't delegate the foolishness. Don't, oh, can you, take my emails, and don't give people things that won't stretch them, because that's how we build confidence. And that's really what we want to do. We want to create a culture of very confident, high functioning team members at all levels. And that is when you get into that sweet spot. And that's when innovation happens, creativity happens, we take more risks, we are bought in, we feel ownership. All of these things happen, but it starts really with the leadership team and their level of confidence in themselves.
Yeah, I think we do that even with interns, where that's like one of my favorite things to I mean, I love our interns and I just it's a good quick test when I'll be like, "Hey, here's a project. I know you don't know how to do it. Let me know how it goes. Check it." Like you're going to have to check in with me
Yeah.
multiple times. And the
Hmm.
interns that like eyes go wide and they're like, "What on earth are you doing to me? This is torture." It's like,
Yeah.
"Okay, that's good information that you
Hmm.
might not be a fit with the Belfer Group long term because we got a lot of stuff that people got to do independently."
Right.
And the ones who are like, okay, I figured this out. I figured this out. I don't know what this means at all. I don't know what this means at all. I'm like, great, let's talk about it.
Hmm.
Angela, you had a point you
Yeah.
were about to make?
Well, I was gonna say I was giggling because I calculated recently, and in the 17 years we've had a marketing agency, I don't think I had interns that first year. So probably in 15 years, we've had over 50 interns. So we've gotten good
Wow.
reps at how to manage them. And in a company our size, where our normal people headcount is 6, it's kind of a lot of
Hmm.
interns. But I want to back up because you say that one of the first steps is to delegate stretch goals. I'm thinking of a few people that I know that how did they what are the steps they're going to do when you say build their confidence? Can you give
Yeah.
them a couple of ideas before they even start? Because when you said you have to trust your team, and I cynically said they don't trust themselves, so they can't
Yeah.
trust their team yet, right?
That's right.
And so are there a couple of steps of how we build that confidence
Yeah.
first?
So, yeah. So, really simple stuff here. And I promise you, this is not going to be like earth shattering stuff. So, here it is. And here it is. Because every time I share this, people go, my gosh, that's so simple. That makes so much sense. But yet
Back
still
to the
we don't do it.
basics.
Right?
Back to the
Exactly.
basics.
It really is back to basics. And so what you're referring to is what I like to call security stacking. It's a process of how we can stack our securities stack by stack. And so it's 3 steps. And the first step is intentionality. We have to be very intentional about what that thing is. What is that thing we're trying to accomplish? What is that thing we're trying to change? Whatever that thing is, we have to be extremely intentional about it. Now, when we become intentional about something, oftentimes the very first response to that intention is, oh gosh, no. How? It's too much. It's too big. It's going to take too long, right? That tends to kind of be that first reaction to intentionality. So the second step, I call it evidence. Look for evidence that you can do the thing or that you've already done the thing.
Hmm.
There's evidence all around you that you can do the thing. Because once you find that evidence, then you go, okay, all right, that doesn't seem as, wild as I originally thought. And then the last step is action. You got to do something. Do something. Whatever the thing is, do something to get you 1 centimeter closer. Don't wait to be the expert. Don't wait to read the 18 books. Don't wait to get that certificate. Don't wait to buy that new fancy equipment, because all that is just a whole bunch of excuses and a way for you to procrastinate. That's all that is. So take action. Do something. Try. So if I had to kind of break it down into the tiniest little sentence ever, it would be confidence equals trying. Trying equals confidence. That's it. That's it. Period. So it's intentionality, evidence, action. Rinse and repeat. And what will happen is you start to build momentum. And then you realize, wow, okay, I didn't all the way suck on that thing that one time. Let me try it again. And then again, and then again. And then slowly you build enough confidence in yourself that you're like, what? I could totally do this thing. So it's a process. It's very simple, and and I do that intentionally, number one, because it's what I had to do to build my own confidence over the last few years. And number two, it's something that I teach and I see it happening. And it is the best thing ever when you see somebody actually, like, the light bulb goes off and then they
Yeah.
start to feel so excited about what they do.
I'm fascinated. I have 2 things that I want to say,
Yes.
and one of them I probably should say after the podcast, and I'm gonna say it right here. Um,
Okay.
One is that what I absolutely adore about you is that you're like, "Guys, I hate to break it to you, but this is so simple." And I know of other consultants that make their things sound like it is this fast and it's this new thing, and they think they need that to sell it, that it's this big thing, and it's like,
Mhm.
I love that you're like,
It's like a
"There's
lack
nothing."
of confidence to make it sound more
Right,
important than it might
Yeah, yeah,
actually
because
right,
be.
it
right. I
takes
love
away from their value.
Yes, I'm like sitting here blown away, and I have some I will save the most sass for after. Um,
Okay.
this
Now you're gonna
well,
make
because
the
it's
listeners
judgy.
so upset.
Yeah.
Well, it's super judgy to say that sometimes old white guys are known for making themselves sound a little bit more important than you're like, "Okay, give me a break." Anyway, okay, so hopefully that will sneak out, and if it doesn't, there you go, bonus bonus
Yeah.
content.
Bonus content.
No Number
Number 2.
2, I have been asked dozens of times, I won't say 100,
Mhm,
dozens of times, "How are you so confident?" And I
mhm,
always say, "I don't have to know something when I start, but I know myself well enough to know I'm willing to work hard
that's
enough
right.
so that if I make a promise, I will deliver it, which
That's
means
right.
I'm careful with the promises I make.
That's
I'm
right.
very careful to not overpromise because I think that's where I got myself in trouble earlier in my business career
Mhm,
is I would try to promise the moon, and then, like, I learned because of my integrity, I would have to overwork myself to get there, but I learned about myself, I'm willing to work, and so sometimes that means, like, "Oh, I don't know how to I was sitting on my phone asking
oh,
chat
yeah.
questions last night,"
That's
I
right.
was
We've
like,
all
"Hey,
been there,
cat,
but
I
we've
don't
all
know
been
that."
there. Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
and we've
It's just
all done that.
I've never thought of that as breaking that down into that is how you build confidence though, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I loved about what you said is that not only A, you're like, it's basics. Number 2, it's so basic. I didn't think I love that. I love that you've really methodologized. That's not even a word.
I like it, though. I think it's your word now.
One
But
of
I
the
but oh,
Wait,
go
hold
ahead.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Sammy.
One of the things about this, I feel like I'm the resident. Let's talk about kids, and bring it
Mhm,
back to that because I've got 2 small children.
mhm,
I I think about encouraging kids to try. And when
Mm,
there is a fear of failure and a fear of
yes.
trying, you don't even put you don't step up to try to build that confidence. And
Mhm,
one of the things I'm grateful for about how I was raised was that, like, go try
mhm,
anything, whatever you want to try. You are welcome to try. If it didn't cost, particularly if it didn't cost money, I was allowed to try whatever I wanted. If it costed money, maybe there had to be like a little bit of like, all right, well, maybe we try one thing at a time that costs money.
Yeah.
um
Sounds like me
which
with my
is
kids.
it's a fair thing, that's fine.
Yep.
And I think that the more you try, the more you learn the confidence. I think that there are things that I'm confident I'm not good at, and I'm not upset by it. Like, I'm just
That's
like, no,
right.
it's okay. I've tried this a lot, and I know I'm not really great at it. And oh well, like I'm fine with that. I'm not bothered. And I also know that I can go try new things and I can go learn new things. And I can go pick up a musical instrument tomorrow if I want to, because I know I've done that. One, I've done it like 6 times before. And
yes.
I
Yep.
literally,
Exactly.
I'm not, I'm not amazing at any musical instrument, but I am solidly proficient. I can play any third part on any of the instruments that I've ever picked up. And I'm fine with that. Like, I also know it's like, oh, I know what it takes
That's
to get
funny.
to advanced. Nah, I'm not that
Yeah,
interested.
not interested. Yeah, exactly.
And so I think
So
that building that trying muscle.
you call out so many things, honestly. So as far as kids go, what's so interesting is that that word
Mhm.
failure is not even a thing. It's something that we teach them. Because when you think about
Mm.
babies, right? They what are they doing? They're getting up, they're falling off of tables, they're, trying to walk, they fall, they get right back up. They're not like, "Oh, I can't do that again because I might fail." They learn that from us,
They
right? They
y
they
no,
do.
they also like, my two-year-old will fall from the literal top of the playset to the literal ground,
That's
and
right.
even though I was like, "Huh, he's like, "No," and then he did
Exactly.
it again, and then he did it just
Again.
people are like, "Oh, well, they won't do it twice," and I'm like, they darn sure will at sometimes because
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
happens, so
Yeah, exactly. And they learn fear. They learn, that word fail and fear from us,
mm.
right? Whether it's we're telling them by saying, "Honey, don't go back up there because you're going to fall and you're going to get hurt and I don't want you to do that. You're going to do
Be
that." And
careful. Be
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 careful,
careful,
careful.
be
be careful, be
careful, be
careful, be careful,
careful.
be careful, right? So now they're like, "Oh, Okay. So that's something that we teach them. So we have to be very careful with that as well, because our children, our babies, are watching us. They are
Mhm.
paying attention, and I learned that the hard way, where I was saying one thing to my girls, but modeling something else. And it
Mm,
was only when my daughter, when she was like 6, she called that out to me,
mm,
and that was a huge eye opener for me. So with this whole confidence thing, we have to be very careful, especially with our kids. And but there's just so much that you learn through life. And for me, one thing, when I think about confidence, and I'll share another quick story. It's about one of the first people in my life who essentially created that first stack for me, that first security stack for me. And I was 14 years old, and I had just started high school. I was bullied all through junior high because I
mm,
was an immigrant with an accent, all these things, and got into high school, and I was like this scrawny little shy, I was just like, can I just fade into the background, please?
mm.
And I had a PE teacher, PE coach. Wayne Rulin is his name, Coach Rulin. And one day in class, he said, "Hey, you, meet me at the weight room after school." And I was just like, who can't be talking to me? Me? And I showed up there, and I walked into that weight room, and he looked at me and he said, "You will be here every day. You will learn to lift weights. You will get strong. You will help take care of this room. You will respect it, and you will respect yourself."
Mm.
And
Oh, I just got chills.
I'm telling you, and that moment was such a shift for me, because what he didn't realize, he didn't know what was going on at home. He didn't realize that this little kid was struggling and growing up in a very scary environment. He didn't know any of those things about me, but he saw something, and he
Mm,
realized that he needed to grab my hand and hold on to me. And in that weight room over 3 years, I learned leadership, I learned work ethic, and I watched every other kid that walked into that weight room. I watched him lay that first stack for them.
mm,
And I share that to say, we as leaders, we have the ability to impact so many people. And even if you're not in leadership, you have the ability to impact so many people. But before you can impact them in the way that you want to, you have to start by creating your own first stack, and then you can help create it in others. So I just had to
mm.
share that, because it's something that it's a story that I tell. I'm writing a book. He's in it. I reached out to him, and he was like, "I remember you." And so,
Ah.
so I think that we just have such a great opportunity, especially now. We have so much opportunity here to impact each other, and just whether or not we're in leadership. But it starts with first recognizing what we need to do for ourselves, so that we can impact people in the way that we want. Because believe me, we're impacting people every
Yes,
day.
we are. Yep,
Maybe not in the way we're hoping, but we are.
yep.
And so if we want to be more intentional about that, we need to stop for a second and look at ourselves.
I have a question for maybe the hypothetical listener out there, definitely not for my own self and my own learning. Definitely, definitely not. What
Asking for a friend.
Asking for a
Yeah.
friend. What about when it feels too risky? When the stakes are
Mm,
high, when I think about there's different things. So like even like in parenting, like
Mhm.
the stakes are high
Yeah.
for messing up. And I feel like maybe the question is about how do you marry courage and confidence and trying anyway? I don't know. What about how do you be confident and build confidence when things are like really, I don't know, scary and you're out on the edge and you don't know what to do?
Yeah. So, first of all, I am not the expert at this whole parenting life thing. I'm winging it like the rest of us out here in these streets. It's rough out here.
Yeah, it
Okay?
is.
It is rough out here.
Amen.
But what I have learned, I have a 19-year-old daughter, and I
Mhm.
have a 13-year-old daughter. And the one thing that I have learned is I had to give myself some grace. And that was really hard because I wanted to be the kind of mom that I didn't necessarily have growing up, right? And so as a result, I tried, so again, doing more, trying to prove more, show my value. I'm a good mom. You're going to be great. Everything will be fine. And it was exhausting. I failed a
Mm.
lot. I beat myself up a lot as a result of it. And one thing I'm going to say is we have to give ourselves some grace. And the second thing I will say to you, Sammy, specifically, is that please know that everything that you're doing for your kids is adding so much value to them and who they are as people and how they will show up in the world. Every little tiny, little teeny tiny thing that you're doing, and they're watching you and they're seeing what you're doing as a woman, as a human on this planet, and you are setting examples. And what I will tell you is, you are doing things, you are sewing, you're just weaving things into the fabric of their lives right now that you don't even realize.
Mm.
And one day it'll show up in a way that you'll never expect. My 19-year-old daughter, where I look back and I'm like, gosh, I could have, I should have, why didn't I? Why couldn't I? And when she was going off to college, and I still get emotional every time I tell this story, but she was going off to college and she looked at me and she goes, Mom, she still calls me mommy. And she says, Mommy, you know, I had the best childhood ever.
Mm.
And it got to me because I instantly thought, well, I, I didn't buy you your first car. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. We didn't go here. We didn't go there. Blah, blah, blah. And she was like, I had the best childhood ever, Mom. And
Mm.
that's what's making it so hard for me to leave, because I feel
Mm.
like I now need to let go. And I told her, well, you never need to let go. We're always going to be here. But why I'm sharing that is to say that I'm sure, Sammy, you could sit down right now and write a book about all the mistakes you made and all the things you're not doing well. But believe me when I tell you, you continue to show up every single day, and that's exactly what they need.
Hmm. Thank you. I'll go let my friend know who asked that question.
Okay.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I think that's really lovely. That's so wonderful.
Yeah,
Hmm.
you're
Just
welcome.
gonna soak
But
it
it's,
in.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
yeah, yeah.
So, Therese, oh, I
I was
was
like,
like,
I needed to soak in. I was like, Angela, you got to pick
you're
up the
gonna stop.
baton for a
Okay, I'll
second.
grab the question. This is why I always tell people, like, watch it on YouTube. It's so entertaining. Anyway, the this is amazing. Okay, you mentioned you're writing a book. So,
Yes.
and when we visited, I was like, please tell me your book is in process. And you're like, it is in process.
It's
And I'm
in
like, yes,
process.
it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
So when
Hmm.
it comes out, we definitely want to have you come back. So until that time,
Hmm.
what would you like to leave our listeners with?
Well, if we only had 10 seconds, I would say to just remember that everything that you need to accomplish anything that you want, you already have it,
Mm.
Hmm.
period. So that's what I want to leave your listeners with, because it's something that it took me a very long time to learn. And it makes me sad that it took me that long to learn. So if I can just shed some years off of someone else listening to this, and if they can get that now, that would be great. Everything you need, you have.
Okay, because actually, I usually wrap up, but I got to pull this out because I just like kind of an aha moment of this
Hmm.
is that you said we're first going to have intention and then we're going to gather evidence. Evidence
Mhm.
is actually proof that his
Proof.
art that already exists,
Yep.
and then action. So there's not this future state. You're not actually telling us some point in the future we will have confidence. You're saying that right now, if you make a decision, look around, see, gather your evidence, and then start, like, that's not a future state. That is right now.
That is right now. And it is a
That's fascinating.
confidence, in my opinion, is a muscle. And like every
Mm.
muscle, if you don't work it, right? It'll atrophy and it'll get weak. There will never be a time in any of our lives that we show up and we face something that we know what to do. We know how to do it. We're going to be the perfect, greatest, the best at it. There's always going to be a challenge. There's always going to be an obstacle in front of us. And so this really is, and it should be, a daily practice, a daily thing, a very intentional thing that we do. And it is a muscle that we have to continue to work, and it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. But if we slide away from that, it's very easy for us to kind of fall back into some of these other things, especially when we're facing new things. And there's not one person on this planet that will not be facing a new thing at some point in life. And so it definitely is something we do right now, right this second. And it requires nothing, nothing at all. You don't even have to buy my book because it hasn't even been written yet.
I love it. That's amazing. Thank you so much.
You're
Um,
welcome. You're welcome.
where can people find you? They want to connect more. They want to follow the book journey. What can they do? How can they work with you?
Sure. So I am on LinkedIn, and it's just my name, nothing fancy, just Therese Gopaul-Robinson. And then they can also check out my website, and that is theresegr.com. And it's ThereseGr.com. And so they can join my community. I send out all kinds of fun stuff a couple times a week. And it's really a combination of my personal journey with building my confidence, because it is a daily practice for me. But then also I share a lot of just, tips and things that you can be doing so that you can feel the impact of it immediately. Again, we're not looking to get this done in 5 years. We're looking to start doing this right now.
I love that. I think that's so beautiful. Thank you guys so much for joining us today and for listening in. And I hope you guys are able to take some nuggets, start building your confidence today, right now, right after you stop listening to this. And until next time, we hope you guys go be freaking awesome.